What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 33. Hot and Cold Metal. Monday. Day 99. You think they are going to show up again in peak? David asked. Definitely. Whatever they want with us, it certainly didn't end with that little act they put on yesterday, Deku said. There wasn't a single one of them who was actually taking their fight seriously. Except maybe Evelyn's cousin Jack said. Considering Evelyn's mood, he would have probably died if he hadn't, David said. Oh, I know it. Eve can get vicious when she wants to, Jack said. Speaking of vicious, your inspiration really got me out of a pickle there. Slowing his muscles down threw his semblance off, David said. Precious information. He needs his body to make precise sounds to command specific movements, Deku said. Speaking of bodies. You think they are buying it? Jack asked. Well, David said. Overnight. You cannot be serious, Weiss said. Nah, just over the weekend. Isn't she gorgeous? Evelyn asked. That's a bit too much, isn't it? Penny asked. Granted, but it's just so weird. She even grew in height, Weiss said. What do you suggest, then? She got a new body somewhere and jumped ship? Evelyn asked. Oh, don't be silly now, Weiss said. Penny, why did you leave us alone? Ruby asked. Excuse me, Penny asked. Us? Us who? Weiss asked. Flat girls need to stick together, Ruby said. Who are you calling flat? Weiss asked. Well, you're the only one not wearing a bra yet, So Young said. I will see you in court for slander, Blondie Weiss shouted. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna question it too much, all things considered, Deku said. Yeah. Team RWBY aren't exactly the sharpest tools in the, Jack said. Wow, there. I would say they're more naive than dumb, Deku said. Yeah. You're right. That wasn't very nice of me to say, Jack said. I think it's more like we're getting used to mistrusting everything and expecting danger around every corner, David said. I'm becoming jaded, aren't I? Jack asked. Aren't we all? David asked. Don't worry, Weiss. I'm sure you will grow into it, Penny said. I'm already feeling it, thank you very much, Weiss shouted. With cotton, maybe, Blake said. Weiss then spoke of unmentionable opinions on Blake's heritage. Whoa, rude, Evelyn said. Not Penny, Jack said. Defiantly not Penny, Deku said. Evelyn seemed a little distracted ever since they came back from peak. Even with Penny lifting their mood soon after they got back, it seems Evelyn is still hung up on Andrea. Heard that the last time you were this silent and moody you were meditating about whether to stab Jack with a fork, Deku said. How did you know? And what did I tell you about sneaking up on me? Evelyn said. 1. David told me. 2. You never told me anything about sneaking up on you, Deku said. I do now. It had better be retroactive, Evelyn said. Yeah, I'm not changing the subject, Bubmeister. What's wrong? Deku asked. Evelyn sighed. I'm meditating murder, yes. Just not of Jack, this time, Evelyn said. Let me guess. Andrea, Deku said. Yeah, Evelyn said. Deku couldn't even imagine how she felt. Being betrayed by a family member. Not like that, Evelyn said. Deku said. Even before making a deal with the Grim, Andrea was a little shit-stain, remember? I don't have any qualms about turning him to bunny sashimi, Evelyn said. Sashimi is a way of cutting fish, not meat, Deku said. Is it, now? Guess I'm going to have to try more than once until I get it just right. Anyway, it's not like with Jack and Bella. I don't have any tragic, should I or should I not moments, no I can't and yet I must trope. Nothing as interesting. It's just me wanting to kill the little shit. It's pure and simple revenge, Evelyn said. There's nothing simple about wanting to kill your little sociopathic cousin who entered a willing symbiotic relationship with a centuries-old body-hopping Grim, Deku said. Sure there is. They want themselves to live and I don't, Evelyn said. How can you laugh whilst saying that, Deku asked. Just like that, Evelyn said. Evelyn. Are you really saying that you would kill Andrea in cold blood, Deku asked. Yes. The Grim needs to be stopped once and for all, so no one else will lose their family, Evelyn said. I'm not talking about the Grim. I'm talking about Andrea, Deku said. Like I said. He's a piece of shit and deserves to die, Evelyn said. So you'll kill the final member of your family, Deku asked. He is not part of my family, Evelyn shouted. So what? What happens next? You'll just be its new host, Deku shouted. It'll die along with Andrea, Evelyn shouted. You can't confirm that, Deku shouted. Yes. I can, Evelyn shouted. And you'll also be setting Andrea free, Deku shouted. Death does not make you free. It makes you dead, Evelyn shouted. Death allows Andrea the escape the consequences of his actions. He should be brought to justice, Deku shouted. Well, some people are too dangerous and need to be killed for the sake of the world. That's what Ozpin had us doing. Don't you want innocent people to be happy? Evelyn asked. I do. But not like that. It's not right, Deku said. Deku then walked off. Evelyn then cried and ran to the dormitory. Unbeknownst to both of them, Penny had seen the entire exchange. Penny then took out her scroll. David. Jack. We have a problem, Penny said. Deku was currently in the gym, punching a punching bag. Hey, Izuku. We need to talk, Jack said. Meanwhile, Evelyn was in her bed, under the duvet, crying. Hey, Evelyn. We need to talk, David said. What about Deku and Evelyn asked. About your argument in the gardens, Jack and David said. How did you know about that? Evelyn asked. Penny saw what happened, Jack said. And then she called me and Jack to go talk to the two of you, David said. David to Penny, and me to you, Jack said. Why that combination? I mean, why didn't she come talk to one of us? Deku asked. She said it's because we're two opposites to you two, David said. Huh? What does that mean? Evelyn asked. Because I've never thought about killing anyone, David said. And I've had to kill people. Penny said it was to make you both see each other's side, Jack said. I can already see Evelyn's side, Deku said. It's just that we got too caught up in the moment and went off on each other, Evelyn said. So? What are you going to do? Jack and David asked. Apologize, Deku and Evelyn said. She's in our room, Jack said. Deku the headed for Team JPDE's room. Evelyn, Deku said, entering the room. I'm sorry, Evelyn cried, bursting out from the duvet and hugging Deku. No. I'm sorry. I should have never put my foot into things I don't understand, Deku said. No, I should have been more considerate of your feeling on the subject. Deku and Evelyn then kissed. Hey. Let's forget about all of this, Evelyn said, giving Deku a look. Is that all you think about? Deku asked. No. It's only mostly what I think about, Evelyn said. Deku then kissed Evelyn and picked her up and moved towards her bed. They didn't even bother to get out of their uniforms. Jack, Penny and David could hear them from outside. I'm glad this was resolved quickly, David said. So am I. But now we're trapped out of our room. I just want to read my book, Jack said. I suggest we go to Team RWBY. I'm sure they'll keep us entertained while Deku and Evelyn have intercourse, Penny said. Fine. Let's go, Jack said. Tuesday. Day 100. The reports from Atlas, sir. I couldn't do a thorough reading yet, but it seems like the xenobiology team hit a wall in their research, Seal said. Thank you very much. I will get to them once I finish here, Enrico said. A strange sound then went off. Well, speaking of which, Enrico said. Major, what? I mean. Doctor, what kind of sound is that? Seal asked. Oh, just to liven up the ambience. Only hearing synthesized tones gets so tiring, Enrico said. I guess it's true that the process makes us take some characteristics of the aura donor. That's a penny answer. I wonder. How am I similar to Dr. Helheim, then Seal thought. TSK. Go figure. As I thought, Enrico said. Sir, Seal asked. Well, rejoice, Seal. You're being part to a very rare occurrence. Enrico Polendina, recognizing his limits, Enrico said. I don't understand. You mean you're stuck? Seal asked. Not so much stuck as understanding that the matter at hand is out of my area of expertise. You see, I was analyzing samples of tissue from my daughter's teammates, to check for any changes brought upon by one of their semblances. And research into one of their abilities, shall we say. But, despite the alterations present in the bodies of trained aura users, there's nothing else of note. Their bodies are perfectly normal, Enrico said. Which means that any possible changes can only be recognized by an expert on the manipulation of aura, Seal said. Precisely. Sadly, there are none readily available to me right now, nor do I know of any in Vale, Enrico said. I may have a solution for that, Dr. Seal said. Really? You have been made an acquaintance of such an individual? Enrico asked. No, sir, but according to my records, I know someone who is. Now may I ask about this special ability you speak of? Seal asked. Not as of now. It is highly sensitive information, though I suspect you will learn the truth sooner or later, Enrico said. Deku was walking to his dorm room. He then saw that Titania was standing in front of the door. Oh, hey, stud. Glad someone's around. Been hammering the door for a couple minutes, now. Thought you were hiding from me or something, Titania said. I wonder why they would ever do that, Deku said. Titania said, remembering her time out before. A while ago Jack and Titania were in the mess hall. More, please, Titania said. You cannot possibly be still hungry, Jack shouted. Not really, but most of this food is new to me. I want to try more, Titania said. The cafeteria has a fixed menu. You can't just have them prepare whatever you want, Jack said. Or, darn it. Isn't there somewhere else I can go with more offering, Titania asked. Yes, there is, Jack groaned. Later on, Titania was in Vale's Market with Evelyn. Oh my gods, this is delicious, Titania said. What did you say these are called? Titania asked. This, my dear, it's a cupo. It's street food from Vacchio, the stall owner said. I can't believe veggies can be this tasty. You got to try these, Titania said. No thank you. I'm busy, Evelyn said. Not busy enough for this, believe me. And? Busy with what exactly? Titania asked. I'm lying in wait, Evelyn said. In wait for what? Titania asked. An opening on your chromatic hussy ass, Evelyn said. Are you still hung up on me in your studs laps? Titania asked. Yes. And do not call them that if you want to keep a tongue, Evelyn yelled. Something like that, Titania said. Anyway, what do you want? Deku asked. I'd like to go into town, what else? I heard about this place that does huge parfaits. So huge you need 2 people to even order them, Titania said. So, you want me to come with you? Deku asked. Yup. So let's. I mean. If you want to and you have the time, Titania said, her tune completely changing. Okay. Yes, I have the time, but. That's very considerate of you, Deku said, a bit weirded out by her sudden change. Nonsense, it's. It's just Titania said, starting to remember when she went out with Penny. I must say, Penny, you are a delight to be around, you know, Titania said. Oh, it's nothing, Penny said. No, I'm serious. You're great, especially compared to Blondie and Ears. Jack is all like every second of my life is suffering, while Evelyn is just waiting for an opening to stab me or something, Titania said. I guess it's just how they choose to cope with your exuberance, Penny said. Nishishi. Okay, I admit it, I've been messing around with you all a bit. I almost got it all out of my system, I swear, Titania said. Oh. So this is the last flower shop you wanted to visit, Penny asked. Yeah. You look it all in stride, so no fun in lengthening the search. I found a potted plant I like at the second shop, truth tell, Titania said. Oh, was it the red orchid, Penny asked. Yeah. How did you know, Titania asked. You focused on that particular plant at least 235% more than any other specimen you've laid eyes on during our outing, Penny said. Even percentages. Okay, I lose. Again. This just won't do. I guess that means I'll have to double down on the messing with the hunks, Titania said. Titania. There's something you should know, Penny said. Huh. What is it? Wow, you look like someone kicked your dog, Titania said. It's a delicate subject. I feel you should know because I don't think you're a bad person. So, I'd rather be forthcoming with you than just issue a warning, Penny said. A warning? A warning about what, Titania asked. David was a victim of attempted sexual assault, Penny said. Oh. Oh, Titania said. I'm telling you this because, even the first time you approached him, you decided to try and use your body to get a rise out of him. A technique I'm not unfamiliar with, but I have a different, progress relationship with David, Penny said. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't mean, Titania said. I understand. Again, I don't think you're a bad person, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. I'm confident knowing about the issue will cause you to rein in your instincts and be more considerate. But just in case I'm wrong in my judgment of character and you hurt David in any way, let me just state that I shall endeavor myself in once again making you a reddish blob of simil flesh. Are we clear, Penny asked. Crystal, Titania said. I just thought it'd be a change of pace to be nice to at least one of you, you know. Yeah, that's it, Titania said. If you say so. So, I'll just get out of uniform and be right with you, Deku said. Sure. I'll wait, Titania said. Deku then got change and headed into Vale. Titania hasn't even said a single word since leaving Beacon without stuttering and stopping what she was doing. And as they walked through Vale, she slowed down, a sign that she wants to stop somewhere before going for that parfait. She keeps looking back. Titania, are you scared of me? Deku asked. Huh? What do you mean? Titania asked. You might as well be treading on hot coals. Why are you being so weird? Is there something bothering you? Deku asked. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, Titania said. You didn't upset me. Oh my god, you are scared of me, Deku said. Nonsense, I'm not scared of you, Titania said. Then of whom? You didn't deny being scared. What's going on here? Deku asked. Titania said. Wait. Is it Evelyn? Deku asked. Ha. Is. Ha. She wishes, Titania said. Then is it Jack? Did she threaten you into being nice? Deku asked. No, she didn't. No one threatened me to do anything and no one could. I'm tough, you know, Titania said. So Penny asked you to be nice and that's what scared you? Deku asked. Kind of. I guess, Titania said. Oh, well. What did she say to you? Deku asked. She told me about David's Incident with women, Titania said. Oh, Deku said. Yeah, she was worried I could be too much. And she was probably right, Titania said. I see. But why are you acting like this around me though, Deku asked. Well, I thought I should try being calmer around you, as a test before I go out with David, Titania said. I see, but you're overcorrecting, Deku said. I know. I mean, I wanted to mess with the two, but now that I know, I don't know how I should act around him, Titania said. Well, only he can tell you how to act around him. But I can push you in the right direction, Deku said. Hey, Titania said. You heard me. First of all, where is it that you wanted to stop before getting that parfait, Deku asked. Stop. Nowhere, Titania said. Titania, come on, you stopped and then slowed your walking to a crawl, you keep looking back. What is it? Is it a shop, Deku asked. Well, yeah, but it's not important, I swear, Titania said. Sure. Come on, Deku said. Hey. Where? Don't leave me here, Titania said. Now. What on earth is it? It's nothing, Titania said. Home. Is it a clothes store? You want a change of clothes? Want something that shows less skin, Deku asked. No, Titania said. You want to show more skin, Deku asked. Ah. Okay, it was this one, Titania shouted. Jewelry. Deku said. Yeah, jewelry. What about it? I may come from a dude, but I'm a girl, you know. I can be interested in this kind of stuff, Titania said. Well, that's true. I just didn't expect you to be into jewelry of all things. But if you like jewelry, I shouldn't judge, Deku said. It's fine. I don't know what I'll like myself, Titania said. Reason more to restrain yourself too much, don't you think? Now, is it just browsing? Or you're looking for something specific, Deku asked. It's nothing, really. I saw something in the window, but it's not like I can afford it, anyway, Titania said. I see. Let's go in, then, Deku said. Hey. I said I can't afford it, Titania said. Just like the food hasn't stopped you before, Deku said, entering the shop. Titania grumbled in embarrassment, following after him. Is this the one, Deku asked. No. Look, I changed my mind, Titania said. That one, Deku asked. Why are you suddenly so hellbent on this, Titania asked. Can't I buy a gift for a friend, Deku asked. Titania said. So let me buy this for you. The first item to start your own wardrobe, Deku said. That one. Still. Titania said. She now had a 2 golden leaf hairpin in her hair. Still, you will have opportunity to get clothes. Hell, you could even just ask Evelyn to make you an outfit, Deku said. Ha. She'd probably line it with poison ivy or something, Titania said. As things are now, yeah. So, I guess you'd better do your best to try and be amicable, Deku said. Titania said. I'm not asking you to act with everyone as you were acting with me earlier. Please don't. Just try and be mindful of others and their feelings, Deku said. What if I screw it up, Titania asked. Welcome to the club. Your teenage years are meant to be full of screw-ups. So just relax. We'll be able to distinguish. Try your best to make a lot of friends, Deku said. Thank you for the hairpin, Titania said. Wednesday. Day 101. No. Hell no. Hell to the 2 to the 3 to the no, Deku said. Sounds like someone is going back on his word, Titania said. No. Sounds like someone is opposing the proposition of feeding you in public, Deku said. Huff. And why is that, Titania asked. Because that's very intimate and I do not feel comfortable doing it for someone other than my girlfriends, Deku said. Pull my leg, will you? Fine. Where do I sign? Titania asked. Sign what? Deku asked. The contract or whatever to become your girlfriend, Titania said. Oh my. We've missed paperwork, Penny said. There's no paperwork. And that's not how it works, Deku shouted. Oh, man. And here I got all hot and bothered, Titania said. No you didn't. You're just messing with me, Deku said. Nish shishi. Now, why would I ever do that? Titania asked. Because you can. I swear, you couldn't gravitate to more eccentric people if you tried, Unit Seal said. Oh, good morning, Seal, Penny said. Normality is overrated, Titania said. So, what brings you here? Penny asked. Another of your eccentric acquaintances, truth be told. I take it you're familiar with Ruby Rose, Seal asked. Oh. Of course I am, Penny said. Ruby. What do you want with Ruby? Deku asked. Nothing with her, per se. Dr. Polendina has hit a wall in his research pertaining to your team, and he's in need of counseling from an expert in aura manipulation. And by going through Beacon's records and the Velizian registry, I've found that one of her relatives fits the deal. As they say, Seal said. Oh, I see. In that case, let's go find Ruby. I'm sure you'll get along swimmingly, Penny said. I'm not looking to befriend her, Unit Seal said. I know. But I don't really think you'll have a choice, with Ruby, Penny said. Huh? What does that even? Penny. I mean, Unit, wait for me, Seal said. Hey. You know, it's almost cute how hard she's trying to stick to her role, Deku said. Oh, sure. The little coffee break is cute, but you can't feed little poor me in public, can you? Titania said. Just drop it, Deku said. Make me, Titania said. Deku then swung at Titania. Ha. Too slow, Titania said. But it was just a decoy as Deku kicked Titania in the stomach. Bitch, Titania said. At the safe house. Ah. My poor head, Bella said. How do you feel? Thriller asked. No longer like it's being split open with a particularly rusty saw. So that's progress. Wish it was faster progress, Bella said. Considering the flight you took. Just think if you didn't have aura, Thriller said. If I didn't have aura I would have died. That boobsh monster and tree hair gave me no quarter. What? They were enormous, Bella said. No, just. I would have expected you to react more strongly when thinking of her. The degradation. It's much slower this time around, isn't it? Thriller asked. Looks like it. Either my soul is getting stronger against it, Bella said. Or your body is getting used to your soul. It's fantastic news, Thriller said. Do you mean your body? Bella asked. Oh, I haven't used it in a while. Might as well be yours, now, Thriller said. What is this? Elise. Anyway, that's probably why Weza suddenly up and dropped the bomb on me. He knows that if I ever no longer need the boss's help, we're out of here, Bella said. Definitely. Miss Rose's fate, Thriller said. Especially the way he worded it vaguely enough to leave us some hope. I'm sorry, Thriller. Want to be Weza's enforcer a little while longer? Bella asked. For summer. Absolutely, Thriller said. And I have something to hold over Weza now, Bella said. Really, what is it? Thriller asked. Well, I don't have anything concrete, but when I was fighting Tree Hair, his aura felt weird, Bella said. Weird? In what way? Thriller asked. It felt like her had multiple aura pools, Bella said. Multiple? Are you sure? It could just be that David's semblance affected his aura that way. Or he could just have a lot of it, Thriller said. No. It defiantly felt like there were 3 aura pools in his body, Bella said. So he must have 3 souls, Thiller said. That's what I want to find out. And use it to get at least something out of that bastard, Bella said. Then let's find out. But now, I was thinking. Do you still want to try and apologize, Thiller asked. Of course I do. I mean. At least to David, Bella said. I got some good news for you, then Thiller said. Deku had gone to the amphitheater for some late night training. Though he wasn't the only one to think of that. Huh. I guess great minds think alike, Deku said. Here to train your semblance, partner, Jack asked. Deku had a quick look around. You mean quirks, Deku said. Oh, right. Still can't believe that you're from another planet, Jack said. Neither can I. I mean, there must be other life forms out there, but I didn't expect them to be human, Deku said. Me neither, Jack said. Deku then noticed various patches of frozen ground around them. They are in various shapes. Some are geometrical, others look more like explosions. Moving on. What are you working on, exactly, Deku asked. Oh, you know. The usual, Jack said. Except I don't, Deku said. Just teasing. I'm trying to improve my... let's call it my field of cold better. Seems like controlling the intensity of its effects is still beyond me, but I'm learning to better handle its size and shape, Jack said. So far you could only spread out in a circle around you, right, Deku asked. 360 degrees, in all directions with the same distance and at the same time, Jack said. Sounds like a recipe for friendly fire, Deku said. I know, which is why the only person I've ever been partnered with before is Evelyn. Even in the heat of battle, she can see it coming. Anyway, this is the first time in years I've had to just sit down, focus and train it. The static nature of school life, huh, Jack said. And how is it going, Deku asked. Not as well as it could be. It's like trying to rein in a starving dog, Jack said. Why a starving dog, Deku asked. Because it's hungry, Izuku. Or at least it feels like it is. As long as there's kinetic energy to be had, it keeps on wanting more, Jack said. I see. Seems like your semblance is alive, like my quirk, Deku said. Sometimes it does feel alive. Sadly, Ozpin never managed to put me in contact with anyone with a similar semblance, so I've always had to learn by myself bit by bit. Does one for all feel like that? Wanting more and more power, Jack asked. No, I would say it's more like aging. With time it becomes more powerful, Deku said. Guess I'm still alone, Jack said. However, Black Whip does respond to my emotions, Deku said. Really, Jack asked. Yes. It responds and become more powerful to anger. Or at least that's what Lariat said, Deku said. Lariat, Jack asked. He was the 5th user of One for All, and his quirk was Black Whip, Deku said. Well, it's good to know I'm not entirely alone. Now though, I have recently made some headway into size and shape. Let me show you from above, Jack said. She points at the random shapes of ice on the ground. None look similar to the zone she had created during the fight with Weiss. You can make the field smaller, Deku asked. Managed to get it down to a basketball. What I really want to aim for, though, is selective absorption, Jack said. You mean choosing what you affect? Among what, Deku asked. Someone's clothes and their bodies, for example. Say I want to disarm someone instead of freezing their arm, Jack said. I see. Sounds like something it'd be hard to practice, Deku said. Yeah. I'd need something like a mannequin with layers of clothing. But anyway, I think that's a finesse I'm still far away from, Jack said. There must be someone at the school who we could ask for tips, Deku said. One of the teachers, maybe, Jack said. Maybe, Deku said. Thursday. Day 102. Team Jade had been given a strange assignment for dust class. Grenades. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever even seen one, and now she wants us to build it, Evelyn asked. Well, the schematics seem on point. Shouldn't be that much of a problem, Jack said. But I like my ears on top of my head, Evelyn said. Oh, don't be silly, Evelyn. We just need to use non-inherently lethal dust varieties, Penny said. What about weight dust then? Isn't that dust variant safe enough to handle, provided we don't go overboard with quantities or purity, right? Deku asked. Yes. Weight dust will be perfect. Great suggestion, Ijuku, Jack said. I had an excellent teacher, Deku said. On the other side of Beacon, Weiss sneezed. Great. So instead of burning off my ears, I'm going to collapse under the weight, Evelyn said. Well. You do look cute with droopy ears, though, David said. Can't deny that, can I? Evelyn said. But I've never seen you with droopy ears, Penny said. That's because they only get droopy when she's tired out, David said. I see, Penny said. Oh, David, I'm so proud of you. You're mastering the art, Evelyn said. Please don't master it too much, partner, Jack said. Oh, don't be such a prude. Now tell me, Aiju, am I cute when my ears are droopy and covered in bodily fluids? Evelyn asked. I plead the fifth, Deku said. Moo, Evelyn said. If I was a prude, I wouldn't be able to stay in the same room as you four, Jack said. Well, Penny hasn't really done anything yet, so it's really just us three, Deku said. Hey. She hasn't. But I could swear I heard Jack said. I guess I was a bit too loud. That was. I was just. I mean, I never had those parts, and Penny said. Oh, I see, Jack said. Deku's and David's faces both went red and covered their ears. Hey, Penny, Ruby said. You two are all shades of red. Come on, it's not like you've never seen me, Evelyn said. Shut up, shut up, shut up, David repeated. Hey, guys. I wanted to. Huh. Are you two alright? Your faces are all red, Ruby said. We're fine. So. Is this about that favor, Deku asked. If you say so. Anyway, yes. My father will arrive on Friday evening, Ruby said. Coolio, Evelyn said. Definitely. What time would work for him, Jack asked. Actually. I know you guys needed him for something, and that's the whole reason why I asked him to visit, but... Would you mind if me and Young spent Saturday with him, Ruby asked. Oh. Of course not. Go right ahead, Jack said. You sure you don't mind, Ruby asked. Ruby, don't be silly. It's perfectly reasonable request, Penny said. Why would we ever say no to that, Evelyn asked. Like we could impose any further after making him come all the way to Vale, David said. We'll just do it on Sunday, then, Deku said. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Also, I was thinking. Maybe I could introduce him to you too, Ruby said. You mean? Introduce, David asked. Nothing that serious. I mean, I don't want to, like, tie the knot or anything, just. Ruby said. I think we'll have a lot more to introduce before we get to any of that stuff, Deku said. Oh yeah, you're right. I would also like to introduce you guys as my friends, not just people I asked a favor for, Ruby said. Oh. I see. I don't mind, David said. We don't mind either, Ruby, Deku said. Deku had thought of someone who would be able to help Jack with her semblance. Hey partner. Drop the book for this evening, Deku said. What for, partner, Jack asked. I got an idea about who could help you, and David, make some steps forward in controlling your semblance, Deku said. Really? And who, exactly, David asked. The same person who helped you, Deku said. The three then went to meet with Pyrrha. Absorbing kinetic energy. So Jan was right, Pyrrha said. Jan. Wait, you mean he managed to discern Jack's semblance? David asked. Just from that brief exchange I had with Weiss, Jack asked. Remember what Evelyn said? People should keep an eye on him. He's got an analytical mind, like me, Deku said. He's amazing, isn't he? Pyrrha asked. That's never happened before, Jack said. And that's why he's their leader, Deku said. Anyway, got any tips as to how we can get it under control? Master David asked. Don't call me that. Anyway, you got the right idea. You can only master a semblance by practice. And with something this powerful, controlled instances won't do, Pyrrha said. Controlled instances? Jack asked. Training in training areas without anyone around you can hurt. Doesn't adequately simulate what goes on during a battle, does it? It's only by putting yourself in a situation where your slip-ups can cause harm that you obtain true focus. Without some kind of penalty, you wouldn't be really pushed to do better. Well, I'd start with objects, of course, Pyrrha said. Of course. Any suggestions to the kind of exercise or objects? Jack asked. Jack, the effects of your semblance aren't permanent, are they? Pyrrha asked. No, I don't make things unable to gather kinetic energy, I just remove what energy they have at the moment, Jack said. Good. Then you got an auto-renewable practice material ready at hand, Pyrrha said. Pyrrha gestured to the fountain. You mean water? Jack asked. Of course. Water naturally freezes and thaws, so it will remain good for practice, Deku said. Exactly. Though I'm surprised you didn't think of it, Izuku, Pyrrha said. Well. I did forget that I can use my legs to fight. It took another to make me realize, Deku said sheepishly. I guess sometimes you need someone to point out the obvious, David said. Yeah, it's so simple. But makes so much sense. I can just put some in a flask and carry it around, Jack said. From what you told me, I'd advise against starting with such small amounts, Pyrrha said. Well, I guess I can start practicing with this fountain, then, Jack said. Right now? David asked. No time like the present. Thanks, Master, Jack said. It was my please. Jack, not you too. That's embarrassing, Pyrrha said. Well, what should I call you then, Master? Jack asked. Just Pyrrha is good enough. Honestly, you too. Geez, Pyrrha said. You're just a good sensei, Deku said. Izuku. Please don't join them. Anyway, I think you've got enough to get yourself started. If you need any more advice, hit me up, Pyrrha said. Will do. Thanks, Pyrrha, Jack said. Pyrrha then left. You had the right idea, partner. That was incredibly useful, Jack said. Yeah. Sometimes all you need is a new perspective, Deku said. Seems she's got, I guess, an instinct when it comes to semblances, aura and the sort, David said. And she's still a student. I can only imagine what she'll become in the future, Jack said. Well, one more reason to not fight in that tournament, David said. You wish, Jack said. You're not going to escape the tournament so long as you live, Deku said. Now, let's get freezing, Jack said. David and Jack then started to practice on the water fountain. Partner. I'm pretty sure you're running out of aura. You've been here for hours, Deku said. The fountain is filled with increasingly smaller globes of frozen water, and some veins of ice run their course all the way to the stone structure of the fountain. I know, but I just need a little more, Jack said. Hey. You're like a kid with a new toy. I don't think I've ever seen this side of you before, David said. I know, right? It's just, I was pretty excited about finally having a way to safely make some progress, Jack said. That you got carried away. Well, what about we call it a day and Take a trip to Vale for a bite. And maybe we can grab a flask for the future, too, Deku said. Sounds good. Gotta give the water some time to melt, anyway, Jack said. I'm going to have to decline. I've got other plans for tonight, David said. Oh. Okay. That's fine, Deku said. We'll see you later, Jack said. Jack and Deku then headed for Vale whilst David left them. So, what do you say? We've been, I think, in every shop that sells that kind of accessory, Deku said. Probably we'll go with the one of those from the second shop, Jack said. They're the most expensive ones, Deku said. But also the most durable. Mishaps, remember, Jack said. True. But I didn't learn to control my power by getting a more durable body. But then again, the body does heal, to an extent. So, if you're going for the expensive one, allow me to buy something to drink then, Deku said. Won't find me saying no, Jack said. The two then went to get something to drink. Partner, Deku said. Jack said. When I offered you a refill. I thought you were going to drink it, Deku said. Well. I was going to, but Jack said. Your hand slipped, Deku asked. Something like that, Jack said. We're going to have to pay for the cup as well, aren't we, Deku asked. Weren't you offering, Jack asked. I offered to pay for drinks, not property damage, Deku said. Serves me right, I guess, Jack said. A while later, Jack and Deku returned to their room. Well. Can't believe it got that late, Jack said. Well, we did spend most of the evening training. But we did spend quite a long time out, Deku said. I guess spending time with a friend makes time fly all the same, Jack said. Hey. Sure, all in all today I was pretty relaxed, Deku said. Same. And sorry about the cup, Jack said. Hey, it was your learn, Deku said. Don't remind me, Jack said. Welcome back, Penny said. Where did the two of you disappear to, Evelyn asked. Oh, nowhere in particular. Some shopping. After Jack froze the fountain in the gardens, Deku said. Did not. Just the water, Jack said. I guess you've been experimenting with Jack's semblance, Penny asked. Pretty much. But what about we speak more of it over dinner, Jack asked. Sounds good to me. I went ahead and made something, figured you'd come back hungry, Evelyn said. Thoughtful, carrots. Lead the way, Jack said. Evelyn and Jack then entered the kitchen. Did you and Jack have fun today, Izuku, Penny asked. Yup. We didn't do anything special, but sometimes all you need is each other's presence, and everything feels just right, doesn't it, Deku said. Friday. Day 103. Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Taeyong Xiaolong, Glinda said. The one and only. Thanks for interceding with his academy for us, Peach said. Oh, it was just for Friday. Hardly a big favor I had to ask, Glinda said. It still won't go unappreciated, mimic partner Peach said. Please stop calling me that, Glinda said. In public, Peach asked. Period, Glinda said. Fine. On one condition, Peach said. A condition. HMPH, this should be good, Glinda said. Need permission for an overnight stay, Peach said. At the safe house. Nice pad you got here. The height makes me wanna throw stuff out, Andrea said. Please don't. That's only going to attract unwanted attention, Thilla said. There's no such thing as unwanted attention, Andrea said. Talk about deja vu. Did the universe think we needed to be evened out, Thilla thought. But fine. Only proper to respect the house rules. I'm a guest and all. So. When do I get to kill Evelyn, Andrea asked. Not anytime soon, Thilla said. Hey. So boring, Andrea said. Remember the part about unwanted attention, Thiller said. Huff, fine, no killing Beacon students. Pest. But I want carte blanche on messing with them, Andrea said. Define messing, Thiller said. Well, for example, I noticed how strong Evelyn's reaction was when Andrea said. Don't even think about it, Bella said. Oh, Sleeping Beauty woke up. You sure you should already be up and about, Red? That was one nasty pile driver, Andrea said. I'm fine, thank you. And well enough to kick your ass if you go anywhere near David. Thiller told me about your little stunt with Izuku. You're so lucky that you didn't touch David, or you'd be nothing but a puddle, Bella said. But he's the one who got close to me. And if blonde hunk gets close to me, that's his fault. Also, you're so not fair. Why is it you can molest a guy and I can't, Andrea asked. How do you, Bella asked. Oh come on. The spider guy told you about when he fought Evelyn, McBlondie and Studley Bushhair, didn't he? These aren't for show. Quite the number you played on the Blondie. I could see his skin still crawling hour after the incident, when I grabbed Bushhair, Andrea asked. That's quite enough, Andrea, Thiller said. Oh, I'll decide when enough is enough, Andrea said. You know, you were right earlier. This balcony does seem made for throwing garbage out, Thiller said. I'd like to see you try. But fine, I'll stop reminding Red she probably ruined herself for marriage. We should totally have some more girl time. Now I wanna see if I can mooch an ice cream off passerbys. Tata, Andrea said. Andrea then left. How many days left until Sunday, Bella asked. 1.5, Thiller said. Way too many, Bella said. Deku had texted Rest that he was free this evening. Alright. I'm going out, Reese said. And where might you be going, Arslan asked. Out. I just said that, Reese said. She means where? Are you going somewhere in the school or into Vale, Bolin said. Oh, Res said. So Bolin said. Ah. Right. I'm going out into Vale, Reese said. Why, Arslan asked. Remember that Izuku kid, Reese asked. You mean the one who you made Arslan giant teddy bear, Bolin asked. Arslan the punched Bolin in the stomach. Ow, Bolin said. Yeah. She looked so peaceful, Reese said. Arslan the punched Reese in the stomach. Why, Reese asked. Do not ever mention that ever again, Arslan said. You didn't need to punch us, Bolin said. I think I'm gonna throw up my lunch, Reese said. Sorry. But why are you going out with him, Arslan asked. I'm taking him out to apologize for the incident. Now I'm going to leave now before I get punched again. Bye, Reese said, as she quickly left. Hope she doesn't make a fool out of herself, Arslan said. It's far too late to be hoping for that, Bolin said. Arslan then left. What are you doing, Arslan, Bolin asked. Reese and Deku had met up at the Bullhead Landing and headed into Vale. So, what do you want to do, Reese asked. Don't you have something planned for this evening, Deku asked. Well, I thought about letting you choose what we do since I don't know anything about you, Reese said. That's very thoughtful of you, Deku said. So, what do you wanna do, Reese asked. Let's go find out, Deku said. Deku and Reese then went off to find something to do. Little did they know that Arslan was watching them. She's actually behaving, Arslan said. Deku and Reese were out for a long time. So long that if they didn't head back soon, they would be breaking curfew. So, what's next, Reese asked. Going back to Beacon, Deku said. Reese said. We need to get back before curfew. Don't want to get in trouble with Miss Goodwitch, do we, Deku said. Yeah. But today was so fun. I don't want it to end, Reese said. It might be the end for today, but we can always do something like this another day, Deku said. You really want to go out with me again, Reese asked. Yes. I had a great time, Deku said. Reese lit up so much that Deku thought she was about to explode. I don't believe it, Arslan said. Arslan. What are you doing here, Reese asked. I was here to stop you from making a fool of yourself. But Arslan said. I didn't, Reese said. Yes, Arslan said. Do you really not trust me that much, Reese asked. I, Arslan said. I see how it is, Reese said. Res then left. Res, Alan called. I messed up. Haven't I, Arslan said. Big time. I suggest you let Reese calm down before trying anything, Deku said. I will, Arslan said. And you should really trust her more, Deku said. I should, Arslan said. Deku then left Arslan to think about what she'd done. Late at night, a man with blonde hair was walking through the streets of Vale. Can't see the stars as well as back home. Still, this sky makes me nostalgic. Reminds me of different times. Maybe I could take a short walk before retiring to the inn. Hey. Main Street has only gotten more glamorous. And I almost didn't recognize the old candy shop. It was Summer's favorite. And man, this leads to Junior's. I wonder how it is now. And if they have lifted the siblings ban. Still remember the scene to this day. Here I was outside and there comes the bouncer, carrying a fairly inebriated crow who whines out a miserable, the man said. Tai Crow drunkenly said. Yeah. Exactly like that. Wait, what? Tai said. Tai. Man, I've been waiting, Crow said. Crow. What are you? Am I hallucinating? Tai asked. I don't know, are you? I don't feel like someone's dream, though, Crow said. Oh my gods, you reek. What have you been doing? Tai asked. I told you, drinking, Crow said. Not that. Weren't you on a mission for Ozpin? Tai asked. Still am, Crow said. How? Tai shouted. Well, Crow said. Crow then began the throw up. Crow, do not even, Tai said. Crow then threw up. Oh my gods, no. No. I refuse to believe this is happening again the exact same way, Tai said. Hey. That's where I spat the last of it last time, Crow said. You're a stickler for traditions, aren't you? Tai asked. So this is a tradition, now? Crow asked. Pulling your butt out of the fire. Always has been, Tai said. Or the liquor, Crow said. Increasingly so, over the years. So. What were you killing your brain cells, this time around? Tai asked. You know why, Crow said. By now I'm fairly convinced the numbing down the effects of your semblance is just a convenient side effect, Crow. Tai said. Ah, smart ace. Stop trying to daddy me, Crow said. Stop trying to kill yourself and I'll do just that, Tai said. Alright, I'll try, Crow said. No. You won't, Tai thought. Anyway, you know. Heard you were coming, thought I'd wait for you to come, then I happened by the old hangout and though. Hey, one for old times won't hurt. Except it turned into 20. You know how that goes, Crow said. Once upon a time. Which is why I said. Ah, and Ruby's got a boyfriend now. Made me feel old, Crow said. Huh. I guess she's at that age. But she always was more interested in weapons than boys, you know, Tai said. Why aren't you? Crow said. Crow, you weren't a teen that long ago. Huntress or not, I knew Ruby would eventually get an interest in dating. Despite her awkwardness, Tai said. Huh. Thought you'd be more protective, Crow said. Well. You'll meet them on Sunday, anyway, Crow said. Oh, so he's one of her friends who needed. Wait, why did you say them? Tai asked. Well, I may have lied when I said she had a boyfriend. She has too, Crow said. What? Is she really? Tai asked. She's not too timing. They both know, and in fact they are both on the same team, Crow said. Huh. Did not expect that. Guess she takes after her old man. I wonder what they're like, Tai asked. They're a lot like you, Crow said. Are they now? How so? Tai asked. In the sense that they have banged half their team, Crow said. What? Tai shouted. Sunday. Day 104. Deku had received a text from someone he really didn't want to see. Hey, Jack, Deku said. Yes, partner. Need help with a subject in particular? Jack asked. Not exactly. I've just received a text from Cinder, Deku said. Oh, so it's today? Jack asked. Yep. And I would like for you to watch my back. Just in case she or her teammates try something, Deku said. Of course. I don't trust her at all, and as our team leader it's my job to make sure my team is safe, Jack said. Thanks, Deku said. I'm coming too, Evelyn yelled, spring from her bed. How did you even hear that? You were asleep, Deku asked. Yes. And I'm not letting you out of my sight at all today, Evelyn said. Evelyn then rushed into the bathroom to change. Please keep her from turning Cinder into a puddle, Deku said. Yeah, no promises, Jack said. Please don't, Amber said. Ah. Amber, where are you? Deku asked. She's here, Jack asked. I'm next to Jack. And please don't go, Amber said. Why? Deku asked. Because she's dangerous, Amber said. We already know that, Amber. But there's not much I can do. It was a part of the deal. Wasn't it, Jack? Deku said. Hey. We needed help and we got it, Jack said. Fine. Anyway, I should get going soon. Don't want to be late, Deku said. Yeah. Anyway, it's nice to meet you, Amber, even if I can't exactly see you, but we need to get going, Jack said. It's nice to meet you too, Jack, but I'm coming with you, Amber said. You are? But how? Deku asked. I should be able to leave Beacon as long as I stay close to you, Izuku. Though I may have to stay close to you then, David, Amber said. She says she's coming with, but she'll need to stay close, Deku said. Not too close, I hope. Don't want Cinder to see us, Jack said. I hope so too, Deku said. Soon, Evelyn was done changing and the four headed out, Jack and Evelyn making sure to stay close but out of sight, while Deku met up with Cinder and they headed to Vale. Cinder had taken Deku to a jewelry shop. She was looking through the window at a golden hairpin. Didn't you parents teach you it's rude not to stare, Midoriya? Cinder asked. No. They told me it's rude to stare, Deku said. On the contrary. If between me and trinkets it's the trinkets you give your attention to, isn't that just boorish? Cinder said. If you say so. You didn't strike me as the jewelry type, though, Deku said. Not with this outfit. I like to own the few random pieces. Usually not hairpins, but I like the motive on this one, Cinder said. Do you, now? Deku said. Deku then had a closer look at the hairpin. A dove. Holding a tree branch, Deku said. A hazel tree branch, to be precise. You can tell by the leaves, Cinder said. So you like trees? Deku asked. Just hazels. You guessed wrong again, Midoriya. You'll have to do better than that to play this game, Cinder said. I thought this was a date. Not a game, Deku said. There's nothing saying why it can't be both. And a date is just a game of information, Cinder asked. A game of information, Guess we'll be finding out a lot about each other, Deku said. Yes. Yes we will, Cinder said. Well, considering that you're turning this date into a game gives some information about you, Deku said. Nothing you didn't know already, Izuku. Unlike other matters, a conversation is never a zero-sum game, Cinder said. It's going fine, so far. She is interested in him, after all. I wonder why, Jack said. Don't know. Don't care, Evelyn said. She wants something out of him, of course. Him in particular, Amber said. You probably said something, right, Amber? Wish at least one of us could hear what you're saying, Jack said. Same. I appreciate the gesture, nonetheless, Amber said. So I guess this first round is a draw, Deku said. It appears so. Though I'll be getting 4 out of you than vice versa, Izuku. Let's walk and talk, Cinder said. Of course. Lead the way, Deku said. Cinder and Deku then went on a walk. While I may have already known that you like attention, I certainly didn't know your taste for hazels and doves. That's very peculiar imagery, Deku said. True. But not any imagery you can decipher. The meaning is terribly personal. Now, where are you from? Cinder asked. I'm from a village in Anima, Deku said. Quite a long way from home, aren't we? Cinder asked. I guess so. But aren't you also a long way from home? Deku asked. That's true. I am representing Mistral, though I have to ask, why aren't you? Cinder asked. Ozpin is the short answer, Deku said. So you managed to grab the attention of the wizard. Interesting, Cinder said. And don't think you'll find out why, Deku said. Same goes for you finding out why my team was chosen to represent Mistral. Though there has to be something peculiar about you, that's the only way to get the wizard's attention, Cinder said. Same goes for you. We are both not normal people, Deku said. Definitely not. You won't find anything common about me, Midoriya, Cinder said. Oh. Should I worry? Deku asked. Only if you plan to get on my bad side, Cinder said. Or if I become a target of yours, Deku said. Excuse me, Cinder said. Oh. Don't overstep, partner, Jack said. No, do. Make her lash out so I can slit her throat, Evelyn said. Oh, don't be so shocked. Being dehydrated does not make your face go red, Deku said. I thought you'd just misspoke. So you saw something. Is it your semblance? Cinder asked. I didn't really see anything. It was more of a feeling, really. And considering what I felt about you, I have no interest whatsoever in being on your bad side, as it were. And I hope I don't figure anywhere in what you're up to, Deku said. And if you did, you planned on trying to get on my good side? Cinder asked. Do I look like that kind of suck-up? Deku said. No. So what is this all about? Keeping me close, Cinder said. Well, that would imply I consider you an enemy. Right now, you're just a danger on my radar, Deku said. And here you are poking at the hornet's nest. You're bold, Midoriya, Cinder said. Well. I don't see any other way to get closer to you, Deku said. Well. You could have bought me lunch, Cinder said. And why should I do that? You're the one who asked me out, Deku said. Sure. But what would others think? Cinder said. Depends on who you ask, Deku said. I'm choosing, Cinder said. Of course you are, Deku said. That bitch, Evelyn said. Well, seems like it's going well, but damn, doesn't she fit the femme fatale archetype? I can't tell if she's playing mind games or just flirting with him, Jack said. She better not be flirting, Evelyn said. I think it's both, Amber said. After a long and expensive lunch, Deku and Cinder returned to Beacon. Well. You did not go easy on my wallet, Deku said. Oh, I'd say the food and company were more than worth it, Cinder said. Of course you would say that, Deku said. So you want more of my time? Or, I'm touched you don't want to end things yet. Very well. Follow me, Cinder said. To answer your question, no. This is not ending up how you think, Jack said. What do you mean? I know it's not going to, Evelyn said. I was talking to Amber, Jack said. Oh, Evelyn said. I wasn't really thinking anything, Amber said. Cinder had taken Deku to the amphitheater. You know, this is not what I had in mind, Deku said. Just another type of date, Izuku. And we're not using weapons, Army, Cinder asked. Our first date isn't even over, and you're trying to get me to strip. I didn't know you were that frustrated, Deku said. Cinder's face flushed. I didn't mean, Cinder said. Deku then quickly punched Cinder whilst she was distracted. Cheap shot, Cinder said. This semblance of yours. Does it drain a reservoir of energy? And how big is it, and how long does it take to refill, Cinder asked. None of the above, Deku said. Interesting, Cinder said. She's good. Really good, Jack said. Yes. She was. Still is, Amber said. She's way too good for a simple student, Evelyn said. Who is she? How did she know, Amber asked. Amber then got angry, causing heat to come off her. Wow, Amber. It's getting warmer all of a sudden. Is that you, Jack asked. Deku was then distracted by the heat Amber was producing, allowing Cinder to knock him down. You got distracted, Cinder said. Ow. Yes, Deku said. So I guess this means your semblance power doesn't deplete or have a cooldown, Cinder said. Are you sure of that, Deku asked. At the level you're using it? Yes. What else do you have in store, Cinder asked. You'll only find out more when I let you, Deku said. More like when you slip up, Cinder said. Agree to disagree, Deku said. Whatever you want to think. Can you stand, Cinder asked. She outstretches her right arm towards him. Deku grinned. You'll have to try harder than that to make me lose my balance, Deku said. Deku then took Cinder's hand and she pulled him up. Well, I think I've had enough of you for one day, Deku said. How charming, but I would also have to agree. Although, maybe next time we can do this without the babysitter and angry rabbit, Cinder asked. I had a feeling you'd notice them. Though getting rid of the rabbit depends on you, Deku said. I don't know. I might like having her watch, Cinder said. Cinder then kissed Deku on the lips. Good evening, Izuku, Cinder said. Cinder then left. Evelyn then ran up to Deku and jumped on him. Izuku. Are you alright, Jack said. To whom, Deku said, his voice muffled by Evelyn's chest. I'm so sorry. I got angry, and Amber said. Deku spoke, but they couldn't hear him. Carrots, Jack said. Evelyn then pulled back, bring Deku's face out of her chest. I figured. But it's not that. Amber. It's her, Deku said. Are you sure, partner, Jack asked. When I grabbed her hand, I heard Amber scream and cry out. It sounded like you were restrained, scared, helpless. Begging her to stop. And all she could think about was stealing your power. She didn't have an ounce of remorse or sympathy. My stomach still churns remembering it, because for a few instants those were my feelings as well, Deku said. I'm sorry, Izuku, Amber said. Don't even. This wasn't your fault and it had to be done. She is now our target, Deku said. Good. Can't wait to kill the bitch, Evelyn said. And there's something else, Deku said. What is it, Jack asked. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there's someone else behind her, with a hold on her. Someone powerful, Deku said. End of chapter 33.